In the fields of the 1970s, tractors weren't just tools, they were lifelines. Farmers needed machines that could start cold, run hot, and survive season after season without complaint. These are the 15 most reliable 70s tractors ever made. Number 15, Ford 6600. As the mid-1970s approached, Ford faced a critical challenge in the utility tractor segment. Farmers needed a machine that could bridge the gap between simplicity and versatility, offering enough strength for demanding fieldwork without overcomplicating maintenance. In response, Ford introduced the 6600 in 1975, positioning it as part of the company's ambitious 1000 Series refresh. This tractor was never meant to be flashy or revolutionary. It was built to be dependable, adaptable, and relentlessly consistent. From the moment it rolled off the assembly line, the 6600 established itself as a workhorse capable of taking on a wide range of tasks. It offered a balanced chassis, available in two-wheel or four-wheel drive configurations, and came with optional features like Ford's Select O-Speed transmission, which added flexibility without sacrificing durability. Beneath the hood was a four-cylinder diesel engine that represented the core of its staying power. Displacement measured 4,234 cubic centimeters, equal to 258 cubic inches, giving the tractor enough muscle to handle long workdays without strain. In terms of real-world performance, the 6600 delivered strength in a way that felt natural and controllable. Rated output came in at around 70 horsepower, which allowed it to power plows, hay tools, and even loaders with ease. The engine wasn't just about numbers. It was designed for reliability, with a straightforward layout that made routine maintenance simple and breakdowns infrequent. That serviceability became one of the defining reasons the tractor remained a favorite in both small family farms and larger operations alike. Its ability to maintain consistent pulling power was another reason it earned trust in the field. Torque output hovered near 195 pound-feet, which provided steady traction across heavy soil or inclines. Operators quickly learned that the 6600 didn't need constant shifting or adjustment to keep moving. It simply got the job done, no questions asked. This quality made it particularly valuable in variable terrain or changing weather conditions. Fuel economy also helped it stand out. Under typical working loads, the 6600 could return close to 14 miles per gallon, reducing downtime and keeping costs in check during tight seasons. With a fuel tank capacity of over 18 gallons, it stayed productive for long stretches without interruption. By combining mechanical simplicity with dependable strength, the Ford 6600 made sure it kept turning year after year. Number 14, Massey Ferguson 135. Long before the idea of precision farming or electronic controls entered the picture, the Massey Ferguson 135 was already proving that good engineering needed no extra flair. Introduced in the mid-1960s and produced through 1975, this model became one of the most widely recognized and trusted tractors of its time. What made it remarkable wasn't a single groundbreaking feature, but rather a flawless execution of everything that mattered to farmers: simplicity, strength, and consistency. The 135 was designed for universal appeal. Whether it was used for plowing, mowing, hauling, or cultivating, it adapted without hesitation. At its heart was a rugged three-cylinder diesel engine built by Perkins, known for its durability and straightforward service design. The displacement measured 2,516 cubic centimeters, equal to 153 cubic inches, which gave the tractor a sturdy platform for steady and efficient operation. What truly cemented the 135's reputation was its unmatched reliability in real-world use. It wasn't the most powerful tractor on paper, but it always delivered exactly what was expected. Rated output was about 45 horsepower, which gave it enough muscle for small and medium farms without the complexity of larger machines. Operators valued how predictable the performance was. No sudden drops, no hidden weak points, just steady application of usable power across every job. In more demanding conditions, the 135 still held its own. Torque delivery reached approximately 112 pound-feet, which gave the tractor dependable pull, even in sticky soil or uphill drags. Farmers could count on it to keep moving, even when the terrain turned difficult or loads became heavy. This dependable low-end strength was one of the biggest reasons many units remained in use decades after their production ended. The 135 also stood out in terms of fuel efficiency. Under moderate working conditions, it often returned close to 15 miles per gallon, allowing full-day operation with minimal stops. A fuel tank capacity of over 13 gallons made this even more convenient, especially during peak harvest seasons when every hour counted. The Massey Ferguson 135 didn't need modern technology to earn respect. It built its legacy one reliable hour at a time. Across continents and generations, it proved that a tractor didn't have to be complicated to be legendary. Number 13. International Harvester 966. Introduced in the early part of the decade, the International Harvester 966 was designed not just as an upgrade, but as a dependable mainstay for larger farms needing both strength and staying power. The 966 came from the 66 series, a lineup built with practicality in mind. From its durable cast-iron frame to its robust axle configuration, every part of the tractor was engineered to last. Farmers quickly appreciated the model's mechanical honesty. There were no unnecessary complications, just a clean layout that made servicing easier and failures less frequent. Under the hood, the diesel engine set the tone for performance and reliability. Displacement measured 6.4 liters, equal to 391 cubic inches, providing a solid foundation for real agricultural work. One of the tractor's key advantages was its steady delivery of power. Rated horsepower hovered around 105 horsepower, a figure that allowed the 966 to handle heavy-duty attachments without strain. Operators often noted how well the power came through the driveline, never abrupt, never weak, just dependable and smooth through every field condition. This made it ideal for tasks like deep tillage and multi-row cultivation, where consistent force mattered more than flash. What truly solidified the tractor's reputation was its ability to keep pulling under pressure. The engine delivered approximately 312 pound-feet of torque, giving it the strength to manage difficult terrain without constant gear changes. It was this low-end grunt, paired with strong gearing options, that helped the tractor maintain traction in mud, clay, or uphill pulls. Fuel efficiency also played a role in its popularity. Under typical workloads, the 966 managed close to 10 miles per gallon, which made it a practical machine for long shifts. A fuel tank holding over 38 gallons meant fewer breaks and more time spent getting the job done. The International Harvester 966 wasn't built for show. It was built to survive. And in a decade that demanded more from every acre, that made all the difference. If you thought these tractors were tough, wait till you see what's next. The most dependable engines and unsung heroes are still ahead. Don't miss out, hit like, and subscribe. Number 12. International Harvester 1066. It only took one glance at the field to know when a 1066 was on the job. With its bold styling and unmistakable stance, this tractor wasn't just about appearances, it backed every inch of its frame with purpose-built power. Introduced in the early 1970s, the International Harvester 1066 quickly became the go-to machine for farmers looking to move more soil, haul bigger loads, and do it all without the worry of constant breakdowns. What set the tractor apart from others in its class was the confidence it inspired under pressure. The heart of the 1066 was a turbocharged diesel engine that gave it a sharper throttle response and the muscle to keep going when other machines faltered. Displacement measured 6.4 liters, equal to 391 cubic inches, which offered a generous breathing space for consistent and sustained work. Operators often pointed to its smooth and even power delivery as one of its greatest strengths. Rated at around 125 horsepower, the 1066 could handle large implements without strain, making it ideal for row crop operations and large acreage farms alike. The balance between raw strength and manageable control turned it into a reliable all-rounder during the peak of the decade, but it wasn't just horsepower that made the 1066 a favorite. Torque delivery reached nearly 420 pound-feet, ensuring that even in sticky soil or uphill drags, the tractor never lost its grip. Its ability to keep pulling without stalling or faltering made it a dependable partner during the toughest parts of the season. When it came to fuel efficiency, the numbers told a practical story. The tractor averaged about 8 miles per gallon, a respectable figure considering its size and workload. With a fuel tank capacity of more than 42 gallons, it could stay out in the field all day without needing to stop. Reliable, resilient, and built with the working farmer in mind, the International Harvester 1066 was the machine that delivered. Number 11. International Harvester 1466. Not every tractor from the 1970s earned its reputation in the shop manuals. Some earned it in the mud, on hillsides, and in 10-hour shifts that didn't allow room for failure. The International Harvester 1466 was one of those machines. Introduced in 1971, it became the backbone of many large acreage farms that needed real endurance, not marketing promises. Part of what made this tractor so trusted was its ability to keep working through brutal conditions. While other machines bogged down or overheated under load, the 1466 powered through. Its six-cylinder diesel engine was known not just for output, but for refusing to quit when things got tough. Displacement was 6.4 liters, equal to 391 cubic inches, and that gave it the breathing room to perform under pressure. This wasn't a tractor that wore out its welcome quickly. Many original owners kept them in service for decades because breakdowns were rare and major repairs weren't often needed. The 1466 delivered around 145 horsepower, but what mattered more was how long it could keep delivering that strength season after season without faltering. Farmers especially appreciated how the power translated into real field traction. Torque output was nearly 433 pound-feet, which meant it didn't stall when the soil got heavy or the loads turned stubborn. And yet it handled that strain without punishing the driveline or wearing down components prematurely. Fuel economy was reasonable for a tractor of its size. On average, it returned close to 8 miles per gallon, which kept it practical for long runs. With a fuel tank that held over 42 gallons, refueling stops were rare and productivity stayed high. More than any single number, it was the 1466's reliability under stress that made it a farmer favorite. Number 10, John Deere 4020. Few tractors in history have earned loyalty quite like the John Deere 4020. Though introduced in the mid-1960s, it remained in production until the early 1970s and became one of the most respected machines ever to wear green and yellow. Its reputation wasn't built on flashy innovation. It was built on one simple fact: this tractor refused to quit. From the moment it hit the field, the 4020 set itself apart by how little attention it demanded. While other models needed constant fine-tuning or adjustments, this machine thrived on being simple, tough, and consistent. Its reputation for reliability grew quickly, not because it was perfect, but because it always showed up. For farmers managing large acres and tight seasons, that kind of dependability was worth more than any extra feature. The diesel engine inside was never asked to be extraordinary. It was only asked to last. With a displacement of 6,637 cubic centimeters, equal to 405 cubic inches, it offered the kind of balanced performance that worked well with a wide range of implements without wearing out critical parts. Even when weather and soil conditions turned unpredictable, the 4020 delivered steady, manageable power. It was rated at roughly 94 horsepower, but what truly mattered was how smoothly that power arrived. There were no harsh surges, no stalling under strain, just quiet confidence, year after year. In real-world fieldwork, it was the torque that kept it moving. Output was close to 390 pound-feet, which allowed the tractor to push through soft patches or slight inclines without forcing constant gear changes. That meant fewer delays and far less wear on the operator's patience. Fuel efficiency wasn't just respectable, it was another reason the tractor stayed in service for so long. Most users reported close to 11 miles per gallon, and with a fuel tank capacity of over 34 gallons, it could run all day without breaking rhythm. The John Deere 4020 didn't ask for attention, but it earned it anyway. It became one of the most reliable tractors of the 1970s because it did exactly what farmers needed, without excuses and without stopping. Number 9. John Deere 4430. By the time the 1970s hit full stride, John Deere knew that farmers weren't just asking for horsepower, they were asking for staying power. The John Deere 4430, launched in 1973, arrived as part of the Sound Guard series, and it wasted no time becoming a symbol of reliability. This wasn't a tractor that needed to prove itself with gimmicks. It proved itself by showing up to work every day, no matter the task or conditions. The Sound Guard cab was a major innovation, but the true value of the 4430 went far beyond comfort. What farmers discovered was a tractor that held together under pressure and never lost its edge during the toughest stretches of the season. It wasn't built to be babied, and it didn't need perfect conditions to perform. This was a machine that felt just as dependable in its 10th year as it did in its first. Power came from a 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine that had been designed for both performance and longevity. Displacement measured 61,637 cubic centimeters, equal to 405 cubic inches, and it provided a foundation of strength that rarely faltered, even under sustained load. What made the 4430 truly dependable was how consistently it handled real-world demands. With a rated output of about 125 horsepower, it had enough strength to pull heavy implements without strain. But rather than feeling aggressive or unpredictable, its power delivery was smooth and balanced, which allowed operators to maintain control across changing field conditions. Down in the lower revs, The torque curve told the same story. The tractor produced around 445 pound-feet of torque, which helped it keep moving through clay soils and uneven ground without slipping into hesitation. This made it an ideal match for deep tillage work, where steady pull matters more than peak output. Despite its size and strength, the 4430 didn't burn through fuel wastefully. Most owners saw averages near 10 miles per gallon, and the fuel tank, sized over 45 gallons, allowed for full-day operation without interruption. The John Deere 4430 earned its legacy by doing exactly what it promised. It was dependable, durable, and built to outlast the decade that created it. In reliability, few could match it. Number 8. Case YH1570. When larger fields demanded stronger tractors in the 1970s, Case didn't just offer more horsepower. They built something that could take punishment and keep working. The Case 1570 wasn't known for being refined or forgiving, but it earned a reputation in the real world for doing one thing better than most: surviving. This was a tractor that found its way onto big farms for big reasons. Its heavy frame and no-nonsense build meant it wasn't designed to coast through light-duty work. It was there for the deep tillage, the long days, and the kind of ground that wore lesser machines down before lunch. What made it reliable wasn't just brute force. It was how it kept its head down and carried on when conditions turned rough. The six-cylinder diesel under the hood didn't promise fancy engineering. What it did promise was hard starts on cold mornings, clean pulls through soft fields, and thousands of hours before a serious repair was ever needed. Displacement measured 8.3 liters, equal to 504 cubic inches, and that extra capacity wasn't about showing off. It was about outlasting the job. Even when fully loaded, the tractor didn't strain or struggle. Its rated power was around 150 horsepower. But more than the number, it was the steadiness that stood out. Whether on hills or pulling wide discs, the engine never felt like it was pushing too hard, and that easy power meant fewer breakdowns and longer days between wrenching. The torque curve gave it an edge when the dirt turned sticky or the work turned slow. With about 460 pound-feet at the ready, it could hold its pull without constant shifting, which saved wear on the drivetrain and stress on the operator. Fuel stops were fewer than expected, thanks to mileage that held near 8 miles per gallon. And with a fuel tank over 52 gallons, it stayed out longer than most tractors its size. The Case 1570 didn't offer frills or finesse, but in fields where that never mattered, it earned respect for something far more valuable: never letting the farmer down. Reliability wasn't a feature, it was the whole machine. Number 7. Allis-Chalmers D21 Series 1. When the Allis-Chalmers D21 Series 1 was introduced in the mid-1960s, it didn't just mark a new chapter for the company. It redefined how farmers thought about power. At a time when most row crop tractors stayed under 100 horsepower, Allis-Chalmers pushed the limits and delivered something that looked and worked like it came from another category entirely. But what kept the D21 on farms long after its launch wasn't just its muscle. It was the kind of mechanical resilience that outlived the decade and earned lasting respect in the fields. The design wasn't built for small tasks. It was a large machine from every angle, meant for heavy pulling and extended shifts. But farmers didn't just buy it for size, they bought it because it worked when they needed it most. Whether it was tilling wide swaths or pulling multiple tools at once, the D21 Series 1 delivered with steady, unshakable force. Beneath the long orange hood sat a 6-cylinder diesel engine that made its reputation quietly, by running hard and braking rarely. Displacement came in at 8.5 liters, equal to 519 cubic inches, and that capacity gave the tractor the room it needed to work under load without stress. The early models in this series were naturally aspirated, with a factory power rating just shy of 104 horsepower. But in real-world conditions, it wasn't about the number. It was about how that strength was applied consistently, even across shifting terrain and long hours. Farmers also appreciated how the tractor responded when conditions turned against them. With torque climbing to roughly 425 pound-feet, the D21 had the grip to hold its pull through sticky soils or inclines that stopped other machines cold. Fuel use was steady, and while this tractor wasn't built for economy, it earned points for efficiency relative to its output. Average consumption hovered near 7 miles per gallon, and the large fuel tank, holding more than 50 gallons, kept it running well into the day. The Allis-Chalmers D21 Series 1 was never afraid of hard work, but what made it a favorite among large-scale farmers, it offered it again and again, season after season, without asking for much in return. Number 6. Versatile 150. Introduced in the late 1970s, this Canadian-built tractor wasn't just unusual because of its bi-directional design. It was unusual because it was both experimental and dependable, a combination rarely found in machines that try to do things differently. At first glance, the 150 looked more like an industrial loader than a row crop tractor, but that was the point. It was meant to be flexible, serving farmers who needed one machine to do many jobs, from field work to loader operations to municipal mowing. And despite its compact size and unconventional layout, it quickly earned a name for being reliable in the tasks that mattered most. The heart of the 150 was a four-cylinder diesel built by Ford, a power plant known less for flair and more for consistency. Displacement measured 3,331 cubic centimeters, equal to 203 cubic inches, which placed it firmly in the utility class. But what made it different was how confidently that engine kept running, season after season, with only routine maintenance. Rated power hovered around 80 horsepower, and while that didn't break records, it delivered what the tractor needed without straining itself or the components around it. What farmers noticed wasn't the number, but the way the power arrived smoothly. Even when switching directions or shifting loads from front to back, torque delivery told the same story. With output close to 200 pound-feet, the tractor didn't jerk or stumble under pressure. It simply moved forward or backward, with steady traction and minimal fuss, especially important in loader work, where hesitation often leads to wear and tear. Fuel economy became another quiet advantage. In real-world conditions, it could return close to 15 miles per gallon, and with a fuel tank holding over 23 gallons, it often outlasted larger machines on light to medium jobs. The Versatile 150 wasn't built to dominate the market, but it carved out its own space with persistence and simplicity. It proved that a tractor didn't have to follow the rules to be dependable. It just had to show up every day and do its job right, which this one did better than anyone expected. Number 5. Fiat 880. Known for its sturdy engineering and simple layout, the Fiat 880 quickly found its way onto farms across Europe and the United States, where it earned a following not for luxury or speed, but for something much more valuable: consistency. From the very beginning, this tractor showed it was built with long-term service in mind. Its boxy profile and no-nonsense controls gave it a straightforward feel that matched its mechanical honesty. More importantly, it was the kind of tractor that rarely let its operator down. Whether it was mowing, cultivating, or hauling, the 880 kept working without drama or delay. Part of that dependability came from the engine tucked beneath its steel body, a four-cylinder diesel that didn't need attention unless it was scheduled. Displacement measured 3,960 cubic centimeters, equal to 242 cubic inches, providing the right balance of durability and daily usability. In terms of power, the 880 never overreached. Rated output was around 78 horsepower, but what set it apart was how evenly that power was delivered across a full range of working conditions. It never surged or stumbled, which gave operators confidence when shifting between light and heavy implements. When it came to pulling through tougher ground, the torque curve carried the load. Output peaked near 215 pound-feet, offering enough muscle to maintain steady traction without forcing constant gear changes. For jobs like tilling or light plowing, that smooth pull made all the difference. Fuel efficiency was another area where the 880 quietly excelled. Farmers routinely saw averages close to 14 miles per gallon, which meant the tractor could cover serious ground without frequent refueling stops. Its tank held just over 24 gallons, extending its usefulness deep into long workdays. The Fiat 880 proved that reliability isn't always about brute strength. It's about showing up every morning, handling whatever job comes next, and making sure the work never has to wait. That's the kind of reputation that lasts. Number 4. Zetor 8011. Built in Czechoslovakia during a time of increasing agricultural demands, the 8011 became one of the most respected utility tractors in Eastern Europe and later found its way into fields across other continents. What earned its reputation wasn't sophistication, but simplicity done right. From the outset, the 8011 was engineered with one goal: durability without complication. The controls were intuitive, the design was straightforward, and the repairs could be done in the field with common tools. That kind of mechanical accessibility made it popular not only with large farms, but with smallholders who needed every machine to last as long as possible. Its core strength came from a four-cylinder diesel engine that focused on low-end reliability rather than top-end performance. Displacement measured 3,928 cubic centimeters, equal to 240 cubic inches, offering a platform that balanced efficiency with long service intervals. The engine's horsepower was rated near 75 horsepower, and while that placed it in the medium power range, the 8011 made every bit count. The tractor didn't surge or struggle, it simply maintained steady output across long shifts. That smoothness meant less stress on both the equipment and the operator, contributing to the machine's extended working life. What really set it apart in tough fieldwork was its torque. The engine delivered close to 213 pound-feet, which gave it just enough muscle to power through heavier soil without needing constant gear changes. For many farmers, it was this ability to hold its pull consistently that defined its reliability. Fuel economy was another reason the 8011 stuck around. With average returns of nearly 15 miles per gallon, it stretched fuel use further than many of its peers. And with a fuel tank capacity of over 26 gallons, it easily carried a full day's workload without pause. The Zetor 8011 didn't need modern electronics or luxury features to win trust. It needed only to start when asked, work without protest, and do it again the next day. That kind of quiet reliability is why it still lives on in fields today. Number 3, David Brown, 1410. In the mid-1970s, David Brown was already known for building tractors that punched above their weight. But with the release of the 1410, the company brought something new to the table in the form of refined strength blended with rugged reliability. At a time when the industry was shifting toward larger and more complicated machines, this tractor stood its ground by keeping things simple, mechanical, and trustworthy. Farmers quickly noticed that the 1410 wasn't a tractor that needed pampering. It was designed to run daily, to work long hours, and to handle a variety of tasks without second-guessing itself. Whether in row crop operations, loader work, or basic tillage, it became a dependable partner that didn't let breakdowns dictate the schedule. The engine powering this model came from David Brown's collaboration with Case, resulting in a 4-cylinder diesel that focused more on long-term durability than flashy innovation. Displacement was 3,995 cubic centimeters, equal to 244 cubic inches, giving it a practical operating range without pushing mechanical limits. Rated power hovered around 72 horsepower, which made it ideal for medium-duty work. But it wasn't the output that stood out. It was the way that power was delivered with balance and predictability. You could count on it to perform the same in the afternoon as it did in the morning, no matter how many acres were behind you. Torque levels offered another layer of dependability. The engine produced nearly 214 pound-feet, which gave it the low-end pull needed to handle heavier loads without stalling out or losing momentum. That made it especially valuable when ground conditions turned rough. Fuel economy added to its reputation as a low-maintenance machine. With averages close to 15 miles per gallon and a fuel tank capacity of over 25 gallons, it allowed long days of operation with minimal interruption, an advantage on farms where time mattered more than comfort. The David Brown 1410 didn't just do its job, it kept doing it, quietly and reliably. In a decade full of change, it stayed focused on what mattered most, getting the work done, day in and day out. Number 2, Massey Ferguson 188. By the time the Massey Ferguson 188 rolled onto farms in the 1970s, the company had already carved out a reputation for building dependable, hard-wearing tractors. But this model, in particular, struck a special balance between utility and longevity. It wasn't flashy, and it didn't boast radical innovations. Instead, it focused on refining what already worked, creating a machine that farmers could count on for season after season of uninterrupted service. The 188 was part of Massey Ferguson's successful 100 series, yet it stood out for its staying power. Farmers needed a tractor that could take a beating from long hours in the field and still fire up the next morning without complaint. That's exactly what the 188 delivered: mechanical consistency, even when conditions were less than ideal. Its diesel engine was built for the long haul, not for speed. Displacement measured 3,677 cubic centimeters, equal to 224 cubic inches, making it a compact but resilient workhorse. It didn't strain under load, and it avoided the kind of overheating or power lag that plagued less balanced models in the same class. Power output reached close to 70 horsepower, which was more than sufficient for tasks ranging from plowing and baling to hauling and light tillage. More importantly, the engine ran steady, without surges, hiccups, or stalling under moderate load. That reliability wasn't just mechanical, it was psychological reassurance for farmers who had deadlines to meet and crops to manage. Torque came in at around 169 pound-feet, offering just enough grunt to pull through clay-heavy soil or power a small loader without stress. And because it delivered that torque low in the rev range, the operator didn't have to fight the gear shift or push the engine too hard to get results. With fuel usage sitting at roughly 14 miles per gallon and a generous fuel tank capacity, the 188 could operate through full-day shifts without needing frequent stops. That, paired with its easy-to-service layout, made it one of the lowest maintenance tractors of its time. In every way, the Massey Ferguson 188 proved that simple, proven engineering, when done right, can outlast nearly everything else in the field. Number 1. Ford 8000. Unlike earlier mid-sized row crop machines, the Ford 8000 was designed from the ground up to handle continuous strain. This wasn't a machine for light-duty chores. It was built to shoulder the daily grind of heavy tillage and long-haul fieldwork. Underneath the long blue hood sat a 6-cylinder diesel engine with a displacement of 6,648 cubic centimeters, or 4,156 cubic inches. That kind of size wasn't just for bragging rights. It allowed the engine to work under less stress, increasing its working lifespan. As the tractor made its way across fields in the 70s, farmers quickly noticed its calm, composed behavior under load. With more than 105 horsepower at its disposal, it could haul wide implements without falling behind schedule. Even on hilly terrain or soft soil, one of the standout features was its ability to maintain low-end torque across a wide RPM band. At peak, it delivered around 270 pound-feet, giving it the pulling muscle needed for deep plowing without forcing the operator to ride the throttle constantly. That mattered most during long days when fuel economy and mechanical stamina were equally important. Ford's decision to pair this platform with a durable transmission system added even more endurance. Whether using the basic 8-speed or the more advanced Select O-speed version, operators found that they spent less time troubleshooting and more time actually working. In a decade full of mechanical experiments and overcomplicated designs, the Ford 8000 stood out for one reason. It stayed on the field when others faltered. From dusty fields to harvest seasons, these 15 machines prove that reliability isn't just built, it's earned. Got a tractor you think deserved a spot on this list? Drop it in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more classics.